we'll begin this hour in the U.S., where Donald Trump has arrived in New York as he prepares to face criminal charges in court on Tuesday, and that's tomorrow. He's currently in Trump Tower and is expected to stay overnight there. The charges he's facing, which relate to hush money paid to former porn star Stormy Daniels, will be put to him on Tuesday afternoon.
Well, we had earlier, for more on this, we can cross live to Washington and speak with a Rice correspondent, Eric Am. Hello, Eric. If you're there, it's a very warm evening here in Nigeria. Tell us more about Trump's arrival. A lot of security operatives, that's a lot of bill for the New York City Authority to pick as usual.
Well, actually, it's actually par for the course for the NYPD, the New York Police Department. We're talking about a police force of more than 40,000 strong with an intelligence unit and many resources. In fact, in the United States, perhaps the only law enforcement agency more adept to actually handle a situation like this would be either the Secret Service or the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. But Donald Trump has just recently arrived to his Trump Tower. We know that he is here. He will be arraigned in less than 24 hours at the Manhattan District Court, where we will be tomorrow to watch this unprecedented event unfold. Now, here's what we're learning about this. We're told that Donald Trump's lawyers are going to vigorously defend the former president. We also know that they recently added new members to Donald Trump's legal team, a former Department of Justice official who used to work very closely with the prosecutor in this case, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. So that will be interesting to see how these two match legal wits over this case. In addition to that, we're told that the actual arraignment of the former president tomorrow is going to be pretty standard. We're told that it will last no more than a matter of hours. Donald Trump will not be handcuffed. It's highly unlikely, although we're not certain, that he will actually take an actual mugshot. We know that he will be fingerprinted. And then, of course, he will go before the judge, where for the first time, or at least we think for the first time, this indictment will be unsealed and the charges will be made public. The judge has not ruled in this case that he will actually make the charges public so everyone will know what they are. But of course, the former president and his attorneys will know what the charges are being brought against him are. We're told that there are many as 34 charges in this indictment against the former president. But then, of course, he will be back on his plane, where he will fly back to Florida, where he will make a press availability tomorrow night. And of course, we know that perhaps just as much as the arraignment tomorrow is going to be fireworks.
Indeed, and we cannot wait to see all of that tomorrow, Eric, our eye on the ground there. But let me ask you, this is not just a former U.S. president. This is a prospective candidate for next year's election because he seems to want to run again. How much of a blow or a fall would this likely be? Do you think it will dent anything in his campaign? Should he, overcome this in any way?
Well, let's be clear. The Constitution offers a very low bar for those that are running for president. In fact, Donald Trump not only can be indicted, but Donald Trump can actually be convicted of whatever these charges are that are being brought up against him. And it doesn't thwart his ability to actually run for president. But what we do know in terms of how this has impacted his candidacy thus far, it's actually been a massive boon to the former president. Already, we are told from the campaign that they have raised more than $7 million since this indictment was announced just last Thursday. In addition to that, Donald Trump has cemented himself as the front runner for the nomination. Now, it still is complicated because the United States is dealing with two unprecedented events right now. The first being, of course, a former president being charged with the crime. And the second being that same former president that's being charged with the crime, who's also running for that office once again. So the United States is clearly in uncharted territory in a number of ways here. But what we're seeing, at least in the short term, it has been a massive help to Donald Trump as he pursues the Republican nomination. Now, there are many that have been telling me that they believe, while it's certainly been helpful for Donald Trump in the primary in the short term, if in fact he is the nominee, not only this case, but the other looming federal and other state investigations against him could pose potential problems to Donald Trump if in fact he is the nominee, and he has to try to fend off multiple indictments, multiple criminations, and the specter of actually going to prison as a result.
Well, the primary is still a long way to go, but what is immediate now is the inglorious appearance that history, or that is going to be historical by Tuesday. But tell us quickly, the lawyers say, even though the charges are not known yet, that Trump isn't going to plead guilty. How legally correct, or is that politically correctness we're seeing here?
Well, it's actually pro forma and standard operating procedure for most defendants when they are charged with a crime, when they go before a judge and they're asked to what's their plea in the case. They typically will say not guilty. I mean, we will see that oftentimes in most cases, and this is expected to be no different with what we're going to see from the former president tomorrow, even though he and his lawyers still don't know what the charges that they're facing. In addition, we're told that there is the possibility that they may ask for this case to be thrown out altogether tomorrow. We don't know, but that's what we're hearing from Donald Trump's legal team. That's a possibility of what could happen. It's unlikely that will happen as well. But of course, all of this is still wait and see.
We'll wait and see. Thank you so much, Eric Ham, our U.S. correspondent for us in Washington. Thank you so much.